Very good evening, everyone. Please confirm if you can hear me. Please let me know in the chat if my voice is loud and clear. So, have you ever wondered who ensures that the massive amount of data generated in clinical trials is accurate, reliable, and compliant so that life saving drugs reach patients safely and faster? Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to today's webinar on clinical data management 360-degree skills and techniques to get into leading job roles. I'm Dr. Tanushree, your host and moderator for this exciting webinar. Before we begin, let me quickly introduce you to what you are going to explore in this webinar. So in the next 1 hour, you will explore what clinical data management really is and why it is becoming one of the most popular or demanding field in pharma, biotech, and healthcare industry. The skills, tools, and certifications in this related to this field that can give you an edge in your career path. And also you will be exploring about real insights from our industry experts and lot many things you will be exploring today. Most importantly, how you can make a career in this field. So before we begin, I would like to introduce our esteemed speakers for today's session. We are joined by two brilliant speakers today. So let me invite Ms. Trishila Chatterjee. Ms. Trishila Chatterjee is from Novartis, India, who is a seasoned CDM professional with over 12 years of experience, backed by a solid academic foundation of pharma in pharmacology. Ms. Trishila has worked on multiple therapeutic areas and worked on different clinical trial phases. She specializes in oncology trials and database setup process and managing complex clinical trial data. She has received multiple accolades or you can say achievements throughout her career and has been part of many clinical trials of blockbuster molecules. Ms. Trishila will be guiding us on the critical skills, technical tools, certifications, and strategies that can make you industry ready and highly employable in the CDM job market. We welcome you, ma'am, and look forward to gaining from your rich experience and insights.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Mrs. Bhanu Melvin. With a strong academic foundation in pharmacy and over a decade of dynamic experience across academia, healthcare, regulatory affairs, and corporate training, Mrs. Melvin brings a holistic and agile approach to professional development and organizational excellence. She has successfully trained 1,500 plus individuals, including academic aspirants and working professionals in the areas of pharmacovigilance, clinical research, regulatory affairs, clinical data management, clinical SaaS programming, and also holds several globally recognized certifications. Her multidisciplinary expertise enables her to connect scientific knowledge with regulatory and operational excellence, delivering impactful training and strategic solutions for evolving life sciences industry. She is currently serving as an academic and research support specialist in CDM, PV, and RA at Biotechnica. Mrs. Melvin will guide us on the essential skills required to excel in this particular field. So basically, she will be providing insights on foundations of clinical data management, industry relevance, and different career paths it opens up. And the skills in detail will be covered by Ms. Trishila Chatterjee, ma'am. So we welcome you, ma'am, Bhanu ma'am. So dear attendees,
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
know you. Yeah, welcome, ma'am. So, dear attendees, I know you might be having a lot of questions related to clinical data management. So, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box at any time during the webinar, and we will address them during the live Q&A session after all the speakers' presentation. So, without further delay, let's invite Bhanu Melvin, ma'am. So, over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Tanushree, for that warm introduction about myself. And yeah, so today we are here. Please give me a minute to share my screen to all of you. Then let's begin. I hope my screen is visible to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible and your screen is visible.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. And first of all, from my end, for all the aspirants over here this evening, it was very nice to have you all here because it's not a very easy task to take out time from your daily life because some of you might be working and some of you are very enthusiastically waiting for a job or maybe to have a shift in your career. So you all wanted to have, or you all carry the zeal to learn about something or to understand about the things that are happening in the clinical research field, and that is what has brought you all here. So I have trained both working professionals and also the fresh graduates from multiple disciplines for over an year in the field of clinical data management, and personally, it is one of my uh, favorite domain as well. So today I'll be I wanted to share some of the things that I have got to know about this clinical data management in this field, and let us get into that one. And a very warm welcome for all of you because it takes a lot of effort to put out this time to spend your time here. So without any delay, let us just begin, and let us move to the first thing. So what are we going to see here is we're going to see the overview of career paths and key job roles. This is the main agenda of this first 20 minutes of my session. So this is what I will try to give you some of the insights into that one as far as whatever I know. So we will begin with understanding of clinical data management, and it's very important to understand about any topic that we are getting into because nowadays the trend is like I'll join for a job, whichever comes first, and then I'll see if I like it, I'll stay there. Otherwise, no, this is not my cup of tea. I'll leave it and then I'll shift it again. So this is the recent trend that is happening, and because of that, what is happening outside in the market is people are asking for you have experience in a different field. We do agree with that. Do you have experience in clinical data management? I'm very sorry to say that you are again considered as a fresher. But when you understand about that domain, when you understand about that particular subject, you will really understand, or you can decide yourself, you can analyze whether is your interest in that subject or not. Is this something that fits me or no? Yes. So it is not that because my friend is, or some of my friends are working, or some of my ex-colleagues are working in clinical data management, I also wanted to go there. Yes, so we will understand what is this clinical data management and what is the role of clinical data management in clinical trials and drug development. What are the key stakeholders that are present, especially pharma, CROs, and biotech companies? What's the scope of CDM in India and as well as in abroad? And we'll also look at the overview of career paths and key job roles. And we'll be coming step by step, like your fresh jobs, then intern, and then the experience level as well. Then we here from Biotechnica, we have taken this great opportunity for organizing this small webinar about clinical data management. How can we really support all of you? So that's what we'll be seeing today. Yeah. So we'll be getting into clinical data management. Anytime, whenever I go with the topic, I would really love to go with the name of the topic itself. It's clinical data management. So we have to understand having your interest only in the clinical research field is not sufficient for this clinical data management, right? Having your interest only in the data management is not sufficient, because we need to have a mixture of knowledge and interest from the clinical field as well as in the data field, which is very, very new to the science professionals, especially, I would like to say, because I was also a science graduate. I've done my master's in pharmacy. And throughout my master's, or till my master's, I have been only associated with chemistry, science, and all. And yes, we might have studied about the computer science long back in the school, but not regularly. So, dealing with this data, because of the technology, we have introduced computers, everything into the clinical research field now. So, there is no other way, there is no other shortcut. We need to learn about data, means we need to learn about computers. So, now analyze yourself. It is not only clinical research. Do I have interest in computers? Can I take that new stuff again? Can I really get into the field? Can I compete? Because yes, you have to compete, because we are competing with someone who is specialized in data or who is specialized in a computer. I'm not telling that it's tough, but we need to become competent. We have to start that zeal in us. So it is a process of collection, cleaning, managing. Somewhere clinical trials are happening, the data is being getting collected every day, the data is getting collected and the data is sent to the data management team. You will have to manage how the data is being done, and do not expect that always we will have a completely prepared data like it is all good. Yes, humans are collecting the data because we have our colleagues from the clinical trials team sitting and collecting the information. We do expect some of the errors. Clinical data management, it mainly looks into cleaning the data. So our duty is to clean the data, to make it very perfect or reliable and useful for the next set of experts to use. So actually clinical data management is we bridge between the clinical trial team and the experts in data management, or the persons who are going to finally analyze our data, like statisticians we have programmers we have. So these are all the people that are going to sit and analyze your data. So clinical data management, we are not doing any analysis of the data. We are not telling that this data is wrong, this data is right. No. So there is a different experts team who will be doing with that, like your SAS programmers or your biostatisticians are there working with that. So we are going to collect the data from your clinical research team. We are going to check with the data whether it is correct or not, or whether it is okay to use for your experts or not. And if any changes have to be made, you will do that. I mean, missing and cleaning of the data. So the main objective is to provide high quality data by keeping the number of errors and missing data as low as possible and gather maximum data for analysis. Why? Because the regulatory authorities will not look at how your clinical trials are happening. They come for audits now and then, but they will not sit with you or in the clinical trial site checking whether you are really entering the data as such or not. Yes. So when you submit your reports, they are only going to rely or depend on your numbers. That numbers is what we are dealing with, or that data is what we are dealing with. So what is the role of clinical of CDM in clinical trials is we are going to design the data collection tools. We are going to look into the EDC systems, electronic data capture systems. We are going to look into the ECRF development, designing of them, how you need to have them, data validation and cleaning. So once your ECRF has been generated and your trial has been initiated, you get the data. So you will always keep on checking whether the data is clean, whether it is okay or not. Like, I'll give you a very small example. Consider you have a table. Okay, let me go to some of the slides where I have one table. Give me a minute, please. Yes, see, for example, check, this is the table that you have. You have received this particular, consider this is the clinical trial information from the trial site. And consider this first this first row, in this one, this information or this particular overseas CRF design, this information is missing. It is easy for us to go ahead with that, but every table in your trial data, every table, every observation is missing. When it goes to your statisticians, it becomes a very huge volume. Understanding? So when one observation is missing from a table, if this is missing, this particular thing is missing from your table, yeah, if this particular value is missing from your table, that's okay, because the rest of the data is present. Why can't I go forward? You can. But when one data is missing from your every table, we call it as a data set, every data set, this error becomes very huge when it goes to a statistician for analysis. It becomes very difficult for them, and we will not get the sufficient or the good amount of results. So this is what we are going to look into. So we're going to look into any information is missing. Why did my trial site personnel missed it? Why did they do that? Okay, fine. Let me cross-check with them. Why did this information miss? So this is what we are going to see in clinical data management. Yeah. So then data validation and cleaning. Is it collected according to the protocol or not? So we're going to validate it. We're going to cross-check that. Then we're going to do edit checks. Means some of the times when you have submitted your job applications, or maybe when you have taken your railway ticket reservations or any of the tickets, maybe your flight tickets or something, you might have seen without entering a certain field, that particular web will not allow you to go to the next page, right? It will tell you something is missing in the previous page. Go fill it and come. Go fill it and come. It will give you that pop-up. So these are some ways where we maintain that accuracy, where we make sure that no data is missed. Database lock. Once after collecting a huge amount of data, you need to secure it. So how do we secure the cash and jewelry that we have in our houses, in the lockers, in the cupboards, which are present in our homes? So we do lock it, right? We never go outside leaving the door open of a house. So in the same way, once the trial is completed, you need to lock it. Otherwise, manipulations or changes in data may happen expectedly, unexpectedly from the professionals working over there. So we need to lock it. And we need to ensure final error-free data for statistical compliance. And we need to make sure we are in par with the regulatory compliance, like your GCP guidelines, ICH guidelines, and 21 CFR Part 11, which will be dealing with your electronic signatures. So this is the workflow. We have a protocol designed. Then you go with your CRF designing. Once the CRF is designed, your trial initiates. We go with data entry. From the time the data entry starts, your data validation, data cleaning starts. In between, if you have any queries, you raise the queries, you resolve them, and then you move back to your work. And once everything, your database is logged, then analyzed. So this is also a same slide which is explaining about that. So we'll just move to the next one. The scope of CDM in India. India is actually becoming a hub for clinical trials because we know it's diverse and it's also very easy, both financially, to conduct your trial, because we have high amount of educated professionals over here, and also they don't want to pay as much as they're paying in the US and in other European regions, right? So it's very easy to have a trial in India. And that is the reason we have very high influx of clinical trials. We'll see that in the coming graphs. Yes, we have been ranked as a third in pharmaceutical
Dear attendees, sorry for the
production of pharmaceutical
inconvenience.
products by volume. So we have a lot of manufacturings that are happening, and 14 by value, right? And its highest US FDA approved pharmaceutical manufacturing units are present in India. And 500 APIs, that is 8% of the world's API, is being produced in India. It supplies about 50% global vaccines. 40% generic medicines in the US are from India. 25% of all the medicines are from UK. So when all these things are happening, don't you think the data is generated and then the data is done and then clinical trials are happening? So clinical trials, clinical research, then CDM is developing in a very good flow in India. As an entry level, based on some of the articles or based on some of the studies, it has been said that the basic level or the starting range for a fresher can start from 2.6 to 3.5 LPA, and the entry level for a clinical data manager can be from 4 to 6 LPA. Again, do not stick with me that you have said that it is up to 3.5. I need to have 3.5. It depends on the company. It depends on how much they have. They have their own packages, and also if your company is a very big company handling CDM, then you will get 3.5. If not, it can start from 2.6. For a fresher in PDM in CDM with this pay, it's really a good thing to take up. So in abroad, it's extremely high because as we know, the pay is very high over there. So it's always good to go with some experience over there. So they may pay around 46K to 50K dollars per year and higher than that. So the key stakeholders is, this is a small graph depicting about the CRO outsourcing value in USD. So how much are the CROs investing in that? The CRO sector in India has been growing at 10.75 rate, and it is expected to reach 2.5 billion USD by the year 2030. So we can see how many clinical trials have been forecasted. They have them in their minds. They have the planning happening till 2030. It's a very nearby. So we have a very good scope in that. You can see the graph, it's only stooping upwards. It's not going down. So that means day by day, the opportunities are increasing. The next one is key stakeholders, that is pharma companies, CROs, biotech, and healthcare IT. So the number of registered clinical studies worldwide. So we are seeing about the worldwide clinical trials that are happening. 2012, they were around in between or nearly to 1,50,000. And slowly they have increased to an around 4,50,000 from 2012 to 2023. And I can also say, as per the WHO, 2023, we have around 84,000 clinical trials happening in India. 2024-2023 data. So we have a very good amount of clinical trials that are happening in India. So when the clinical trials are happening, we are actually balanced like the track. So if you have more number of clinical trials, we need more number of CDM professionals working over there. Yes. So it's actually a promising data for us. And the prominent CROs in India is Eurofins, JSS Medical Research, Jubilee and Syngene, Ethicare Clinical Services, Raptim, Dabur, Access. So there are Synos Health, Seroclin Pharma, Equivias. These are very good companies we have. Then for an entry level, we can go with the job roles of clinical data associate. So they only give you how to do the data entry, how to review your CRF, query management. Clinical data coordinator supports data validation. So we are going to check. So without knowing what is the data, you cannot check it, right? Then data entry operator, manual data entry in your CRFs. Medical coder, so who will be assisting with your medical terminology coding, like your ICD-10, CPT, which will be common current procedural terminologies, ICD, International Classification of Diseases, 10th edition. So these are the medical coding things that they will be doing. So you can see life science pharma graduates are okay to apply for all these job roles, and the salaries will be from around 2.6 to 4.5. Please keep in mind these job roles and the responsibilities will have a small point added at the end. Now, if you want to go to the mid-level, you cannot sit with the entry level for 2 years and then say, because I have 2 years of experience, I need to go to the next level. No, please do not think that it happens. You need to upgrade yourself. You need to upskill yourself. So what are the next skills required if you want to shift from entry level to the mid-level? You're going to have MS Excel, Medidata Rate, or any of the EDC open tools you can get, Open Clinica, Oracle, Castor EDC. So these are RedCap. So these are some of the EDC platforms, electronic data capture systems. We have many free tools available. Some of the demos are available on the internet, so we can do that. Otherwise, we also have some help. So let us see the next one. The mid-level career, you can get into data manager. You can get into medical coder, intermediate level data analyst, database programmer, clinical SaaS programmer. As said, you need to upskill yourself. If you have to go to the data manager roles, can you see oversee CRF design, validation checks, manager CDS? Means clinical data associates. You have been working as an associate, coordinator, and then with your experience, so your job role is quite the same. It comes with little of experience, you can get into this role. Medical coder, it applies coding conventions, audit coded data, and all. So you have to be a bit experienced in coding, and you need to get into auditing that. Data analyst. Here you need to have very good upskills of analysis skills or tools. You will have to learn about multiple analysis tools, or you will have to learn about Python, R, various languages. SaaS programmer. You will have to upskill yourself to learn SaaS programming and then get into these job roles. So it is not as easy like the first two roles. Those are the continuations of the previous roles. But for a data analyst and a clinical SaaS programmer, you need to learn new skills, SAS, SQL, macros. These all come into SaaS programming. Yeah. Then what are the various certifications that will help you? We have SaaS-based certification from the SaaS Institute. We have EDC training from the multiple platforms and CDISC, that is SDTM standards and ADAM standards, that is for creating data sets and for analyzing them. These are the standards set by Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium, an independently working organization developing standards to handle the data developed in the clinical trials. So these are the various certifications that will help you. Now we have come to the senior level. Senior Clinical Data Manager leads the data management for multiple trials. So you will not be looking into one trial, and this comes with very good experience only, because 5 to 8 years, you will have to look into multiple trials. That amount of experience you need to have. Then sitting in a trial site or in a job, like from your data associate role, for 8 years, you have been working only in the trial site, that is only dealing with diabetic trials. Do you think our CV will be picked up here? No. So we need to think. If I want to get into a data manager role, so we need to get into multiple trials. So frame your future according to that. Yeah, frame your career planning according to that. CDM team lead or lead data manager. It manages a team, reviews outputs, liaises with sponsors. So you understand, you will have to manage a team. So you will have to be a problem solver. Do I have that skill? If I want to get into this job role, let me develop this skill of problem solving. Let me take the responsibility of handling a task. Let me take the first step in telling that, yes, I'll be there for this task. If you have these skills, then you can surely have your career into lead data manager. And project manager, it will be completely into your project. So you will have to go with your planning, stakeholder communications, budget managements and all. If your budget has to be managed, you have to be within your deadlines and timelines. So you will have to be a team leader as well as an expertise as well in your CDM. Clinical data standard specialist. So you will be the one who will be developing CDISC data models, like your data sets or the tables with respect to the data. So it will be requiring skills from your data management, your analyzing the data sets, and then into your clinical SaaS programming as well. Yeah. So these are some of the things that we'll be looking. Now, how will I get all these things? How will we know about those? That is where we are here at Biotechnica. What we do is we train you at multiple levels. So if you want to be a fresher, you can get the knowledge as to that. If you want to get into data, like entry-level jobs, you can. If you want to go into your mid-level, yes, we are there for you. And if you want to get into the senior levels, yes, we are there for you. It's not that if you join Biotechnica, we'll give an experience letter for 8 years. No, it's not that. It is that we customize the courses as per your convenience. There are multiple certification programs with respect to clinical data management. We provide you online trainings with recorded sessions. If you are a working professional, you can get the recordings at your convenience. You can watch them at your convenience. We'll give you an opportunity to explore the EDC tools. We'll give you an understanding of SaaS programming. Consider you have a very little experience, And then if you want to shift to your senior level, don't you think having an understanding of SaaS programming and doing a small project on that will really put your CV ahead of everyone else? Don't you be, or won't you be one out of the crowd, or will you be the same in the crowd? You will be the one unique over there. So there are chances for your CV to be picked up. We will also guide you through CDISC SDTM standards. And apart from training you, we at Biotechnica also give candidates with multiple types of projects. Yeah. So you will have your projects works. You can have your hands-on experience on handling the EDC tools. Imagine you're a fresher, you have done some of your EDC tools, and then the companies will actually drag you and go to give you an opportunity because they don't want to train you once again. That's where you are being ahead of the crowd. You're not one among the crowd, you are separate from the crowd. So we are here to offer you all these opportunities here. And saying these, so we are saying what are the various key roles that are present and the importance. So plan your future accordingly. Plan your careers accordingly. Do not jump into conclusions just because something is happening outside. Think, analyze, and take your step. So saying this, I would like to conclude myself. Thank you for all your patience for listening to me. And if you have any questions, you can drop it in the Q&A. Maybe we'll take it later. And that's all from my end. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Tanushree.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a clear and insightful session on CDM fundamentals and career prospects. Thank you so much. It was really very, very much insightful. Now, moving on to session 2, and for this, I would like to invite Trishila, ma'am. So, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Tanushree, and thank you so much, Bhanu ma'am, for sharing the insights to CDM. I actually agree with you in a lot of ways because I have this entire experience that you were sharing. Okay, let me go to my presentation and let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. So, hi all. I'm just going to take you through. It may feel a little repetitive with what Bhanu ma'am has already said, but I'm going to show you a little different perspective of CDM, and there are a few things that make the basis and pillar, they frame the pillar of CDM industry and clinical research altogether. So I'm going to take you through some of those. I'm not sure if I will be able to, everything I cannot be telling you, but I can take you through the basis of it. So first, on what are the principles of clinical research, what are they based out of and how are they based out of? The first thing is ICH guidelines. And ICH is the full council of for harmonization. So there's a lot of story and there are a lot of history behind how this thing came into existence. I would request everybody to please go into the internet, search and go through it, because then you'll understand how clinical research has developed, has evolved over time from being where it was and where we are today. So ICH is one of the founding principles of clinical research today. And GCP, good clinical practice, is the basis of CDM, clinical data management, altogether. So this is an ethical and scientific quality for standard. It's a quality standard for designing, conducting, recording, and reporting clinical trials involved in human participants. We have to always think that what we are doing is on a person, on a human being just like us, going through some difficult disease. So we have to have that empathy, and these principles, there's a lot of things other than empathy as well. There is ethics. So these principles imbibe those values into the clinical trials. And clinical data management, as was evidently shared in the previous session, it's a critical component ensuring timely and accurate collection, storage, processing of clinical trial data. So CDM is something that you cannot do a clinical trial with. You cannot conduct a trial without a data management system. And we not only create the place where we will collect the data and store it, we also validate it. We make sure that the data is ready for analysis. And we are involved from the very beginning of, when they are thinking of conducting a trial, writing a protocol, from that time till it is done. After that, even archival of the data is a part of CDM activities. Some of the key principles of ICH GCP which are relevant to CDM. So there are a lot of principles of ICH guidelines. The one which relates to CDM specifically is E6R2 principle. And what we rely on is, first one is consistency and reliability. Consistency with the protocol that has been written, and reliability so that the data can be presented to the FDA, to any of the regulatory health authorities, and it is always at all times ready for audits and inspections. Data privacy. So patient confidentiality is of the highest importance in CDM, in clinical research. We cannot divulge the information of the patients who are participating in a clinical trial. And data of a particular pharmaceutical organization which is being researched on is very privileged data. It is very confidential data. It should not be available to anybody other than the authorized people. So data privacy is a key principle, and there are a lot of steps that are taken every time to ensure that we meet the data privacy requirements. There are also laws around it, like HIPAA. For US, it is HIPAA. And there are other laws in every country. There are certain laws and guidelines to maintain the data privacy. Traceability, I'll be talking about traceability a lot in during the session. Traceability essentially means that I can trace back to the source of the data. And every time there is a change in the data, I should be able to identify why, when, how, who has done that change. So this is very important, and this is to ensure that what we are providing is the truth and accurate. It is not manipulated. It is not false data. Quality assurance. So you have to maintain the data integrity, and to maintain the data integrity, to ensure that what we are trying to collect and analyze is actually the true records of the patient. Quality assurance is a very important part, and there are a lot of quality checks throughout a clinical trial that is done by CDM and other functions as well, to ensure that we are maintaining the quality of the data. Of course, there are challenges in every field. There are challenges. So some of the few challenges that as a CDM team member you would face is maintaining the compliance with evolving regulatory frameworks. So a few of the regulatory authorities that are very well known, I would name them as FDA, EMA. FDA is for US, then we have EMA for European Union, and there is Japan health authorities. Then there are Swiss health, Swiss that is for Switzerland. There are a lot of, every country has its own regulatory authority, and they have some common principles and they have some common laws, and but there is always, there are some laws which are very specific to the country. We have to abide by all the laws and the regulations and guidelines to ensure that you're when we are conducting a trial in any of these countries, we have to abide by their laws. And these laws are always evolving because times are changing. There is CDM was not a very popular, I mean, people in this industry knew about CDM, but it was not a very popular field or known to a lot of people who were not from this industry before COVID. But after COVID, a lot of people, okay, within a month we have some drugs. How? We have trials being conducted. People were the patients that were really having COVID, they were taken into trials. We did setups in database setups in a month's time, and then there was drugs in the market within 6 to 8 months, and that was because of everything that was put up by the sites, by the sponsors, and by the clinical data management professionals like me and a lot of my colleagues. So CDM has a lot of things, and there were a lot of laws to follow when we are doing COVID trials. It's just an example, but yes, there is a lot of compliance that is required, and there is a lot of regulatory frameworks that we need to follow. It is one of the challenges. The next is maintaining large volume of data from diverse sources. So yes, there's a lot of sources of data, and sorry, and to maintain all of that sometimes becomes a little problem because you have a lot of things that you need to validate. So large volume is always a little bit challenging. And after that comes efficiency. You have to maintain the efficiency and you have to maintain the quality. So that is sometimes challenge because you are not there. You are doing everything remotely. You are doing everything via an electronic data capture system. You're not talking to the site as in the hospital or the place where the clinical research is actually being conducted. You're not talking to them directly. You're just talking to them via your uh, EDC. So maintaining that quality and efficiency is very important, and sometimes it gets a little challenging, and we need to get some help from some teams. But we do that, and it's a part and parcel of this job. Okay, now I will take you through a few of the EDCs that are going on in the industry right now, and an EDC is a very important. It was a very important revolution that came around when there was a shift in the industry from paper EDC to, I mean, paper databases to electronic databases. By definition, an EDC is a computerized system designed to collect, store, and manage clinical trial data electronically rather than through manual paper-based methods. And there is a lot of efficiency in this. Why we need EDC? Simple, to streamline the clinical data management process, and we have to reduce the errors, advancing efficiency, and ensuring compliance with the regulatory authorities, of course, and their standards. Some of the key features of EDC is electronic case report forms. So basically, before there was manual, I mean, before there was an EDC, there were manual forms that would be printed, and the site would be filling out them in handwritten paper forms, and these were shipped, and then we had to do a data entry from those to here. So the first problem is understanding handwriting, legibility of that, and then there would be a lot of other things also that would be very challenging. So that all that challenge got was resolved by when EDC was introduced, and electronic case report forms they have this concise way of collecting data, and they also ensure that we are capturing everything that is needed for the trial. Then there are validation rules. Validation rules, as in there would be some checks that are programmed into the system, into the database, that would throw an error or flag it out when there is an inconsistency in the data reported by the site. Audit trail, CFR 21. Um, so CFR 11 part 21. So it talks about that everything that is being done in the database by the site or any other individual, any role, will be traced. There will be a time, there will be the username who has done it and the role they have done it from. And what was the change? What, when, how, why, who? Everything is there. So we can know that, okay, this data was entered now, then it was changed, there was a query, there was answered. There's a lot of thing that happens, and we can trace everything back through audit trail, which is very important, very essential as per the regulatory authorities and their requirements. Then we have data export. So we are collecting all of this data in a database. How do we analyze this data? We have a reporting system from the EDC. From there, we can export the data into an Excel format or a SAS format as per the requirement. Sometimes data managers usually use Excel format. The SAS programmers and the statisticians, they use SAS format. So they can extract the data into the SAS format as well. Data security. It is one of the key things very important, on one of the most highest, utmost importance things that need to be taken care. Security, as in first is the privacy of the patient data, and the second is who is accessing the data. Everyone who has access to the EDC will have to have a few qualifications, will have to have completed the trainings that is required to access, and will can access the EDC only through one role. A data manager cannot log into EDC with a medical coder role. Similarly, site personnel cannot log in to the EDC with a data manager role. So it's very specific. There are a lot of encryptions. The data is very secured. And the next is integration. So integration is like one EDC can be integrated, can help this data that we are collecting to be integrated into different platforms like analytical platforms. So there can be visualizations of the data. It will help in analyzing the data easily, and this is all happening real time. We're not waiting for for a very long time. Okay, as soon as the data is entered into the EDC, it can be seen after maybe a lag, depends on the system or what you're using, but there will be a lag of say 12 hours or so. And then we can analyze the data in the other analytical platforms that we have. So there's a lot of integration, and there's a lot of scope for integration, and it leads to single source of data, which is very important, which is what the industry is moving towards now. Integration helps in that case. Okay, the next thing is what are the most important and popular EDC systems that are being used in the industry right now. First and foremost, metadata rave. This is the most popular one. This is the one which has kind of replaced Oracle's paper EDCs that was there previously. Metadata Rave is known for its scalability, its comprehensive suite for clinical trials. It has a lot of functionalities. It is very user friendly, and it has a lot of it can help in a lot of integrations also. So this is a very comprehensive EDC system and very widely used by trusted by a lot of pharmaceutical organizations. Next is Oracle Clinical, or it is also known as Inform. It is used by a lot of pharmaceutical organizations as well. It offers robust CDM tools, and there are a few perks to using Inform as well. Viva Vault EDC. Viva Vault is something which is coming up new, but they are very combustive, I would say, and they are designed for speed and ease of use. So there is a problem with metadata. The challenge with metadata is sometimes it gets very slow because it has a lot of trials and everything. Viva Vault is trying to solve that problem, and they are a good competition to metadata rave. Open Clinica is a open source EDC system usually used for academic researches. Similarly, RedCap is also one of those EDC systems which are being used for academic research. eClinical Works is something that provides a lot of integrated EDC for study management. Okay. Next, I would move on to query management. What is query management? So query management is something which we will be doing as a CDM from the very first day that I am getting into a job as a clinical data coordinator to the day I become a lead data manager. Query management is an integrated part of what you are as a clinical data manager. You need it. You need to do it every day. Not every day. I mean, every time. You should be aware of it. That's the basis of CDM, and it helps us in a lot of ways. We are identify the discrepancies in the data, and we help identify the errors as soon as the data is entered. All the inconsistencies that are there in the data, we capture them, and we help to resolve these issues. Query management is the basis of prepping the clinical data, before it is ready for analysis. There are these are There are a lot of processes for it. There are a lot of ways of doing it. There are different types of queries that are raised. Some are raised by the system. We can write checks, validation rules for those which will automatically fire in the system as soon as the data is entered. And there are certain checks and validation rules which a data manager can go and manually raise because those cannot be programmed by the system. So these queries arise when data collected in the case report form does not meet expected standards. There can be examples are like missing data, out of range values, logical inconsistencies, or something which is not as per the protocol. It's not matching as per the expectations of the protocol. So then there will be a query that will be raised. Query management ensures that the data is clean and suitable for analysis and regulatory compliance. What is the importance of query management? A lot of it. First is data integrity. We ensure that the data that is collected, there is no impact to the data integrity. There are no errors to it, and it is in compliance with the protocol, and it is also maintaining all the patient confidentiality and everything. The next is compliance. Data collected should be in compliance to the protocol, to the ICH-GCP guidelines. So who ensures that? Query management is a process by which CDM ensures that the data collected is in compliance with all of the above mentioned. The next is efficiency. It makes the data accurate, makes it ready for analysis, so that when there is so I would like to take an example. In the previous session, Bhanu ma'am was saying that if one single data point is missing in a data set and it is missing for all the patients, the entire column is blank. When the statistical analysis person statistician is going to see this, and they are going to find out that this is a big error. As CDM, we correct those errors, we make it efficient so that it doesn't come towards at the time of analysis, you don't face such issues. That is one of the things that helps us. Query management is one of the things that helps us manage that kind of problems, resolve that kind of problems. That is one of the things that contributes to the efficiency of the data. There is also one thing, like some things are not resolvable. Say data is missing and the site does not have a source for that. They say that it is not known. Patient doesn't know. Then what do? We accept it. And sometimes when the statistician comes to us and says, you don't have this data, what do? We say that we have a confirmation from the site that they don't have the data and we have to accept it and move on. So this query management is something that helps us doing that. It is also through audit trail and a lot of other things that we can trace back to what site has said and confirmed it. The next is very important, patient safety. Patient safety is of the utmost importance to ICH-GCP guidelines, to all the pharmaceutical organizations who are conducting trials, because we are trying to find out a cure to a disease. So patient safety is of utmost importance. And there are a lot of laws, like, if there is an adverse event, you need to report that. Site needs to report that within 7 days. And there is a serious adverse event, then it needs to be reported within 48 hours. So through query management, we ensure that the patient safety is being maintained, and we are trying to make sure that everything that the patient is going through, we are trying to make sure that the patient is safe, there is no impact on the patient safety. There's a lot of things there that every data that has been reported is authentic. All right, so I'll talk about a few challenges that we face in query management. First is the volume of queries. When the trial is large, say for 3,000, 4,000 patients, there would be a lot of data and there would be a lot of queries, which can lead to delay in the resolution, or sometimes no resolution as well. So yes, this is one of the volume of queries is a big challenge in query management. Then we have site response delays. So the investigator and the site staff are busy in a lot of activities. They're not only just working on a clinical trial, they're also treating patients in real life, and some patients are not part of the clinical trial. There are significant delays at times from the sites and in giving the responses to the EDC, to the queries present in the EDC. So, and there can be, like, there can be other competing priorities because of which the query responses are delayed. The next challenge is unclear responses. So there are a lot of vague responses that the site gives. Sometimes they'll say just it's done, but it is actually not done. Updated, but it is not updated. As per this, it is this. Sometimes you don't make sense. The responses are not legible, and at those times we will still have to raise a requery, and we would need additional follow up from the sites, which are causing a lot of delays in resolving an issue. And the next challenge is complexity of protocol. So there are a few protocols. Sometimes they are very, very complex, which need a lot of, there would be a lot of things that are required, a lot of conditions to meet in a particular situation. And all of these can lead to a lot of data related issues. Site may not understand. We would have to explain them, no, this is the situation, then you have to do it in this way, this is where you have to give it. There's a lot of ifs and buts and a lot of conditions that come in with the protocol, which is complex, the study design, which is complex. So in those cases, there is a chance of having a lot of queries and a lot of issues. Okay, now I will moving on from query management. Before I start into this, I would just take a moment and say, apart from query management, CDM also has a lot of other activities. One is third-party data management, third party being vendors like something which is collected, some samples which are collected by the site but are not report. You cannot have those results in the EDC. Results are present in some other vendors database. And to do a comparison between the vendor database and the EDC, so to ensure that both of these two databases are talking to each other and are in sync, is called third party data management, because there is a third party apart from the EDC. There is also another very important activity called SAE reconciliation, that is serious adverse event reconciliation, because SAE safety data goes into Argus. That's a different database altogether. That's a safety database. We need to ensure that the safety database and the EDC, they are also talking to each other. That's another very important activity that CDM does. And CDM is also involved in setting up the trial, and whenever there is a change in the database, there can be changes. I mean, if there is a change in the protocol, there would be changes in the database to be in sync with the protocol. So at those times, CDM is leading the change in the database. Although data manager per se will not be doing the uh, programming changes, there is a programmer for that, but we would be leading the entire process. So those are very interesting activities to be done when you're doing that, when you experience that. Those are very interesting activities. Apart from query management, but still query management remains one of the highlights of CDM as an activity. All right. Okay, I'll be talking about, the next couple of slides are about a few standards which shape the way the data is collected, and how we maintain, how we should abide, and how we maintain those standards in everyday data management. Okay. The first is CDISC. CDISC is Clinical Data Interchange Standards Consortium, which is a global non-profit organization that develops open vendor-neutral standards to streamline the clinical research process and enable consistent data sharing and analysis. This means that company A is collecting a particular data for a particular trial. Company B is also collecting similar data for their trial, but when they are trying to sync these two, they are not in, like, they are termed differently. But if you see, it is the similar data. Like someone is collecting age of a patient, height of a patient, race of a patient, ethnicity of a patient. The other person is also collecting the same, but then they are terming it differently. So this was there was a difference in in how you see if vendor neutral data. Right now there are certain standards, and every organization follows that standard, and that standard is called study data tabulation model, SDTM. CDISC SDTM standards, they give us the format how a data set should look. Now, how a data set is a table where we collect different data. How a data set should look. What are the minimum things that should be present? This defines, because when a regulatory authority is analyzing a data for any approval, they would need some things to be in common. I need ABCD things in sync. Everybody should know this term. It should not be different for every organization. It should be same. So to ensure that consistency and improve the data quality, facilitate regulatory submissions and approvals, we have CDISC. There are a few key standards developed by CDISC. The first one is SDTM. It gives us a format based on which your ECRF is being designed based on the SDTM format that we have and the model that we have, the variables that we have. They are the electronic case report forms are designed based on that. Then we have ADAM. ADAM is analysis dataset model. It is used by the statisticians to analyze the data. It's not specifically used by a CDM, but it is something that the statisticians follow. Then we have C-dash. C-dash is clinical data acquisition standards harmonization. So this is the basis of identifying any variable when we are doing the database setup for a trial. C-dash and SDTM model, these are the two bases of setting up a trial when you are writing the case report forms. So they give the standards. Okay, this variable should be called this. This variable name is this. And this is where this data goes. Medical history data will go and sit in medical history form. Your age, ethnicity, and race will go and sit in demographics form. So this is a standard that is being followed by, that is being defined by the C-dash model and the SDTM model. And that's how it's been followed by a lot of medical, pharmaceutical organizations. Okay, the next one is it's about medical coding. The next two slides are about medical coding. There are certain standards that we have to abide by when we are taking any medical terminology and coding them, because this is required to bring consistency in what a site is trying to say. It can be, there can be different names of the same thing. I can say my blood pressure is high, but then someone else will say I have hypertension. Essentially, both of us are saying the same thing. But how do we know that we are saying the same thing? By medical coding. And medical coding has certain standards they have to follow. The first one is MEDRA, Medical Dictionary for Regulatory Activities. It's a standardized medical terminology used across the globe in clinical research, pharmacovigilance, and regulatory reporting. The purpose is to provide a consistent way to classify and report adverse events, medical symptoms, diagnosis, and medical outcomes. It's one of the standards that is being followed by the medical coding team. Next is WHODD or WHO Drug Dictionary, that is World Health Organization Drug Dictionary. They have a comprehensive list. This is a comprehensive database for drugs and their classification. The previous one was medical conditions. This is about drugs that are given. Developed and maintained by WHO's Collaborative Center for International Drug Monitoring. And this provides standardized coding and naming of medications used during clinical trials or for post-marketing surveillances. So a lot of drugs have a different brand names, but the active ingredient is remains the same. Who really talks about the active ingredient, and then they term it similar way. Again, this is used by medical coding people. Now, this has already been talked about in the previous session, so I just want to take 2 minutes to cover it. I don't want to go very deep into this because most of you are already aware of it. So key career paths in clinical data management, very starting roles would be a clinical data coordinator and data analyst, and the next would be clinical data manager. So first entry level position is clinical data coordinator, where you are focused on data validation and cleaning according to the established protocols, and also identify the data discrepancies and support query resolution. So you're developing your analytical skills starting with this. Use the skills required would be proficiency in data management software like your EDC systems, and understanding the data workflows, a data how data is flowing from one database to another database, and how it is going and being analyzed. The understanding the workflow is very important at this point of time, and you are just a fresher, so you have to understand how things work in clinical data management, where the data is going. So this role is that. Second role is clinical data manager, where you are overseeing the entire data management process for clinical trial. You're developing the data management plans and other CDM related documents. There are a lot of documents required to be written by the clinical data manager, and they need to be maintained and updated at any point of time during the trial. You're also overseeing database creations and ensuring data integrity and compliance. Skills required would be knowledge of regulatory guidelines, ICA, GCP, FDA, EMA, and other health authorities wherever your trial is being conducted. Strong analytical and planning skills, leadership capabilities, expertise in CDM tools like metadata, that is your EDC, any EDC or Oracle Inform. From CDM, you can also go into database programming. The first role would be database developer, who is designing and maintaining the clinical trial databases using platforms like Oracle Clinical, Medidata Rave, or OpenClinica. You are implementing the data capture processes such as ECRF design and programming the various checks in the EDC systems. The skills required would be data management skills, database management skills like SQL, SAS. You should know these languages, R, Python, they also help, along with the knowledge of CDM platforms. The next is clinical programmer or SAS programmer. So this role is all about writing codes to analyze the clinical data using statistical programming languages such as SAS, R, Python, and following the CDISC guidelines along with it. They work closely with the statisticians and clinical data managers to ensure that the data is clean, aligned with analytical requirements. And the skills required would be a SAS programming, strong SAS programming knowledge, of course, and then you should know about CDISC standards and statistical analysis standards. And with that, I would like to say thank you so much for listening to me, for bearing with me, and thank you so much for giving me the time to present to you. Over to you, Dr. Tanushree.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a powerful and informative session. Especially the information that you have shared on EDC systems and query management was very, very insightful. Thank you so much. So now we open the floor for questions from our audience. So I can see a lot many questions. So we'll begin with a question from Shashank. So question of Shashank is like, with the growing use of genomics and proteomics in clinical trials, how does clinical data management ensure data quality and regulatory compliance for such complex data sets? So Trishila ma'am, would you like to take up this question?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can take this. Genomics and proteomics in clinical trials. So basically, when we are setting up a trial, we are doing it with the protocol. If the protocol has genomics and proteomics. We will implement all of those systems, and we will see what can be taken from the EDC, and like what data can be sourced from the EDC and what cannot be sourced from the EDC. So like I said a few lines about third party data reconciliation. So genomics is basically an examination or a sample collection, right? There's a different analysis that happens. We need the results. So I don't need to worry about the analysis. My sponsor or the sponsor company will think about where they are doing the analysis. I need to identify how I'm going to use that data, the results. So in CDM, you can design the platform in that way so that I can capture that data and analyze the results and have that put into the SDTM format that we have, so that the statistical analysis, I mean, the statisticians can use the data in their analysis as well. So this is all why when we are setting up a database, we can implement all of these changes.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope this answers your question, Shashank. We have a question from Mehjabeen that I'm in microbiology. So can microbiology, the people having background in microbiology can have any career in, can make their career in CDM? I hope this is what you are asking, Mehjabeen, right? So Bhanu ma'am, would you like to take up this question?
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yeah, see, in the beginning itself, we have seen that CDM is something that everyone has to learn new. It's not like a person from a pharma background or someone from a science background will come with CDM. No, we don't come with that. So even if you're from a biotechnology background, from a microbiology background, BDS background, from whatever background you are, we will have to learn CDM because you will have to understand about data management, which is new for all of us science graduates. Yes, you can. But before that, if you want to get into CDM, we should also have the knowledge about clinical trials and clinical research. So it is better if you can have a small certification program or a small training program or a small training in your all
Ma'am, your
most
voice is
welcome for that. We have
breaking.
seen in the entry level positions for that as well. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. In between, it was breaking. It's fine now. So,
Yeah. Am
yeah.
I? Okay.
Yes, 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 yes. So I
Yeah.
hope this.
So in
Hmm.
short, can I? Yeah. So in
Yeah,
short,
ma'am.
we
Please
have
continue.
already discussed that in the entry level positions. I have shown you that all the life sciences background from microbiology, anyone is open to apply for the jobs. But if you are from a pharma background, you will be having a knowledge about clinical research and clinical trials, how they happen. So you can enhance your knowledge in clinical data management, and you are okay to submit for those job roles. And if you're from BDS, biotechnology, microbiology, any other life sciences, then you will have to have knowledge in clinical research and then clinical data management, and then you are open to apply for that. So all the life sciences, you're okay to go with those. I hope I answered your query.
Yes, yes, definitely, ma'am, because I can see many attendees have this query in their mind, like if they are from BTS, if they are a BDS graduate, or if they are from biotech background or microbiology background, then whether they can have a career in CDM. So you have very well answered. Thank you for answering this question, ma'am. Moving over to another question that for a fresher who just completed MSc Biotech, which one should I start with, GCP or CDM? Can you suggest a learning pathway for a fresher? So, Trishila ma'am, would you like to take up this question? Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, sorry, I am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, sorry, can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so the question is that for a fresher who has just completed MSc Biotech, which one should I start with, GCP or CDM? Can you suggest a learning pathway for a fresher?
Okay, GCP is a guidelines. It is good clinical practices. Okay, so it's not a career path. If you want to choose CDM as your career path, then I would suggest you should learn about GCP, because that is something that we still go ahead and do a training on every year. So it's important that you should know about GCP. It's very important that you should know about the principles of ICH and GCP. But yeah, you start with that, and then you can go through these courses for CDM, and then you can apply for jobs in CDM. And also, I am seeing that you're good with Python and SQL. There is a chance that if you go, if you have a good SQL base, you can also apply as a database programmer. And I mean, you can choose either of good knowledge of the clinical trials, how they are going, and programming knowledge of SQL will help you become a good database programmer also. You can apply for those roles as well.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope this answers your question, Niranjan. We have another question from Akash, that are there any chances to shift the role from document specialist to SAS programming or CDM? So is this possible or easy? He wants to know.
Uh, is it? Should I take it?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, please, please.
Bhanu ma'am, you want to take it? Anything?
Yeah, ma'am,
Okay,
please, please
so
continue.
from for document specialist, I'm not sure what kind of document or which field you are a document specialist with. But if you want to shift to SAS programming, you definitely need to have a certification that you need to do. That is very important. And for CDM also, like if you have a life sciences background, you can learn CDM. TMF specialist. Okay. So TMF specialist definitely move. You can have a SAS programming done, like certification, and then you can move to SAS programming or become a SAS programmer, which is comparatively a higher paid job. Uh, and you can also do your CDM certification and come to CDM as a. If you have a life sciences background, you can definitely apply for CDM roles.
Bhanu ma'am, would you
Thank
like
you.
to add anything?
So it's good that you have experience in document specialization, and then you must be knowing something about the clinical trials. That's actually a very good start. Not denying that, but again, repeating the same thing, it would mean that CDM we will have to learn, and yes, you have the basics of clinical research, like some of the things in the trial master file, how the trial happens, and all. But CDM is mostly related to the computers, I would say, because you need to understand data. What are the kinds of data you have? What is structured? What is unstructured? What is raw data? How they have to be organized and all. So only when you understand the core structure of your data, you will be able to check. You will be able to check whether it is missing, whether my SAS programmer can analyze this data, okay, whether they can study this data using SDTM or not, whether my biostatistician can work with this data set or not. So it's an entirely new thing. Yes, you need to enhance yourself with CDM knowledge. And if you really wanted to go again into SAS programming, yes, having a knowledge, because SAS is again into multiple things like base, advanced, and clinical SAS, where you'll be correlating the clinical things with your SAS programming. So yes, you will have to have, as ma'am has said, you will have to do your SAS certification, and it is better if you get a certification from the SAS Institute, because that's what most of the companies are asking for, at least for base SAS, not advanced, at least for base you need to have. For a base SAS programming, it's a programming. We will have to learn those steps, and then yes, you can go ahead with that.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope this answers your question, Akash. So, because of the time constraint, I will be taking up the last question now. So, there is a question from Mehajabi. Any skills she want, like any skills which can be developed related to CDM? Like, if I think you want to say, Mehajabi, that if you want to make a career in CDM, what all skills are required? So, Trishila ma'am, Bhanu ma'am, if you could please little bit tell us about the skills particularly needed to make a career in this CDM field.
Um, the first skill would be analytical skills, looking at the data, understanding, going through the, first of all, you need to go through. There are a lot of documents in CDM. Protocol is the first most important document, and there are very other specific study specific documents like your data management plans and your editing specifications. So there would be a lot of documents. You need to not memorize them but understand them. Understanding analytical skills are very important. As you grow up the career path, solution oriented mindset is very much appreciated, and at one point of time you have to develop decision making skills, because when you are given a role of clinical data manager or you have a lead data manager role, that point of time you are the one who are making the decisions from the data management team. So you have to have very clear decision making skills. These are the set of skills you will develop as and when you, as with experience. And you should be very curious to learn, and you should be open to taking up new challenges. That is my suggestion. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Bhanu ma'am, would you like to add something?
Yeah, apart from if you want to develop, then apart from all these skills that already ma'am has said, those are the things that you develop with your experience, right? So, but in order to get into that job roles, of course, having a very good knowledge about CDM, especially the terminologies, especially the theoretical knowledge. And as I started to talk, I told you first understand about what is clinical data management. Is this my cup of tea? Is this what which really keeps me energetic, which really keeps me moving forward in the future? Because it's a job, you cannot take it today and you cannot leave it tomorrow. So analyze that. If you are interested into data management, if you are interested into computers, if you are interested into clinical field, can you go ahead with those? Then if you can get into that, so for that, of course, you need to have a very good theoretical base, because if you're a fresher or someone with a bit of experience, then you can crack an interview only with this uh, theoretical phase. So from the skills that you develop, so in order to develop those skills, you need to have a very good, strong data management skills, data skills, or how the clinical data is being managed. So that's what I would like to add now. That's all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I hope this answers your question, Mehajabi. So with this, we have come to the end of this enriching webinar. And on behalf of Biotechnica, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our speakers, Ms. Trishila Chatterjee ma'am and Mrs. Bhanu Melvin ma'am, for sharing their valuable time, expertise, and insightful perspectives on clinical data management with us. And for all the attendees, thank you for joining. So if you are serious about building a career in clinical data management, kindly note that our clinical data management training program, basic and advanced level with hands-on experience, along with 1 and 3 month project work is starting on 25th August. So this is your chance to gain practical knowledge, hands-on training, and the confidence to land leading CDM roles in pharma, biotech, CROs, and healthcare companies. So with that, I wish you all the very best in your career journey. Stay curious and keep learning. Thank you.